Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. An absolute pleasure to be here with you in Cannes. Thanks so much for taking the time, and huge congratulations on this beautiful film. Maybe you could start by telling me about the genesis of the project, what it was about Michael Morpurgo's novel that seemed perfect for adaptation.
Well, I first read the book in 1917, 2017.
Before the book.
Before the story.
Before the book.
And I fell in love with the story. I mean, I love Michael Morpurgo's works. It's so compelling, so strong characters. He has this incredible talent of, bringing young people into enormous and very moving adventure. So I thought it was great. I had no clue. I mean, I didn't realize when I bought the rights that it would be so difficult to adapt because the structure of the book is not actually told in a way that makes it to the cinema. So we worked several years trying several attempts. Then I met Olivier in 22 and he came up with the solution. He just find a twist in the film, which is, you've seen the film, right? So crossing the paths of the two characters, whereas in the book, they're completely separate. They never cross. So the idea of crossing just completely changed the narrative.
And how did you kind of unlock that idea? And I guess, sometimes people can be quite reverent towards a novel or a text and not want to change it. But was Michael Morpurgo himself quite allowed you to take that creative license?
I didn't met Michael Morpurgo before I arrived on the project. So when I arrived, because there was like so many attempts of adapting the book, I thought that I was quite free to explore different options and different versions of the story. So I just so I knew also maybe the trap, and the difficulty that you had. So it was because there was like so many versions of it. I knew what kind of trap I had to not
Overcross.
cross. Yeah. And so, well, I just took the book and went to my office, and I started to think about the story, how to make it happen, and how to explore what's our characters' mind visually, because in a book you can just tell stuff, but in a movie you have to show. So I just thought about how to communicate Lucy's state of mind, and it comes quite naturally, I guess.
I think you also have a great idea to understand that in order to tell that story, you had to be on the point of view of Lucy, whereas in the book, it's from the adult's point of view.
Exactly, yeah. And we wanted to stay from Lucy's point of view, so we had to change completely the way to tell the story, and but I guess I was guided by the character and arc.
But I think you knew also that in order to do this, we had to have Lucy, exchanging with someone, communicating with someone. And that's how come the idea of bringing Millie into the picture.
Also, what you can do in animation, you can do whatever you want, So there's you can explore Lucy's imagination, and so that was, I guess, the key, and that's why it was perfect to adapt it in animation, because you can communicate so many visual ideas and be so free in the way to communicate them. So yeah.
And when Michael saw the storyboard and the animatic and understand what we were doing, we were very stressed to show him.
Yeah, because we changed the story a lot, But
his reaction was incredible. Not only was he very moved, but he said this incredible sentence. He said, "I wish I would have seen the film before I read the book." And isn't that amazing? That's so
coming from someone like him, he's just like a great honor. Yeah.
And I was reading, which I thought was a really interesting idea, that, you were quite keen to kind of break away from perhaps this trend more in American-style family films, of, you know, not having unsettling ideas, not having too complex ideas, and actually going back to, you know, some of the old Disney films, which weren't afraid to have these traumatic moments in, or these quite challenging themes. So was that something else that really drove you in the way that you're approaching the story?
I purposefully picked that book because of that, because I mean we grew up with, you know, with Disney movies, Miyazaki movies. I mean, movies that are not shy, you know, from exploring those difficult things,
difficult stuff,
you know, difficult stuff, and nowadays in the market, I mean, it's comedy after comedy and after comedy, and I think it needs to see cinema not only for something entertaining and fun and something like that, but also to explore very deep and unsettling themes, and that's really what we want to explore.
And what do you foresee that as, you know, crucial actually for a child's development, rather than, you know, wrapping them in cotton wool and not telling them about the world? Actually, sometimes I remember watching The Lion King, the moment the professor dies, you know, I could still probably cry watching it now. But, you know, why might that be important? It can see, maybe we don't want to traumatize our children, but maybe it's important that they develop some of these skills and these emotions.
Kids grow up nowadays with an environment that is so stressful and something like this, and
the world is
you know, and I think it's important for the kids also through the fiction to think, to be exposed to those difficult moments, and I think it's part of their construction, and you know, they shouldn't be avoiding this.
And maybe you can also say a bit about the style of animation, which also is a bit of a mix, because, you know, somewhere between kind of more American style but more Japanese style, and it's kind of, you know.
I guess we have like the two influences, and we are like we work with Americans movie and Japanese animation, and I guess we're at the cross line of those two inspirations. So I worked a lot for American projects, and why I was so interested with this project, because we could like avoid the comedy and go to something more poetic and explore like some deep stuff. But I still love to tell a story and make it complex and have something interesting to say. So I guess we just put everything together, and it came like this.
Were there any specific films or influences you were thinking about when you were in the design of the characters?
Yeah, I mean, of course, there was a Japanese animation, Ghibli, of course. We were all inspired by those movies, but we wanted to find like something more like some kind of a European style. So finding a way to find our own design, our own visual, and
Yeah, I think it's quite important to find our own voice. I mean, Japanese influence and American influence are so dominant, so strong. They have very established identities, and you know, and there is obviously some inspiration on both sides. But neither the Japanese would find this Japanese, nor the Americans are going to find this American, which is something good, which means that, you know, we find a different way.
And I guess at a very basic level, the fact that it's, you know, written in English, set in England, what kind of challenges or new things did you discover by translating it into French? And how did you work with your voice cast?
We thought about like doing it in English first, but in fact all the movie was done in France, in Paris. Most of the movie was made there. So it was very comfortable for us, I guess, to work with actors in our own language, and there was also like different process of writing. I mean, we wrote the script, but then you have the animatic, where I edit the storyboard, and we also adapt. We adapted the dialogues at this moment. It was really a writing process as well. even when we do the record for the voices, where we adapt also to make it more natural. And so there was like several level of writing, and so it was very convenient for us and comfortable to do it in our language, I guess.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we have realized most of the dialogues are being told by kids, and it's far more easier and obvious for us as French to direct the actors in French, because we had to reach, whenever you do comedy, there is so much exaggeration, so much performance in the acting, Whereas here, we were looking for something very fragile, very subtle, and it's hard, when you're not straight, in English, native, to try and find that voice from the kids.
And how key do you think it is capturing this very specific moment when you're just coming out of childhood, but you've not quite reached adolescence? So there's still a lot of innocence there, but you're just kind of on the precipice of discovering more about the world. So how did you kind of want to lean into that moment in one's life?
It's a movie about childhood too, about and about what the world, how the world affect them, I guess, and the difficulties of the world.
Childhood is something that is behind them, and they're trying to face and to cope with the world of adults, where things are not as easy and fun as they might have, for most kids, hopefully, experience with their childhood. So the project, I'm seeing into difficulties, but they still have this pregnancy of their childhood. So I love this. I think this is a fascinating age in between, and I think it's very rich from a character standpoint. They have this naivety of childhood that is still there, but also the courage and the determination of.
There is a journey for them, and that's also what's beautiful. It's like to see them grow and to see them change, and how they cope with what world is it.
And finally, what do you hope audiences will take away after they've watched the film?
Some optimism, some courage. I don't think it's a depressing movie. I hope they'll be moved by the journey of this little girl and how she overcomes what happened to her. And I hope that it will give people hope to do the same, to face what world is, and find the strength to face.
I think the story really tells the power of child's imagination and how strong they can use their imagination to overcome, whether it's a trauma or something just difficult. I'm amazed about what imagination can help them drive and find their way into adulthood.
And it's a shame sometimes when we mature that we lose that.
Exactly.
And we forget it. And finally, what does it mean to you to have the film here in Cannes? And what do you think it shows about perhaps animation being kind of respected more than perhaps it was in the past as, something that can sit side by side with live action movies?
It's quite a unique year because a lot of animated film are there. I mean, we've never seen that in the past.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do also with this movement in animation where we're trying to explore every different type of writing, and whether it's for adults or whether it's for kids, there is a diversity of stories here that help shape film that go sideways from the traditional formats, and can recognize this. And that's a big step for us.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Huge congrats on the film. Really enjoyed presenting it here in Cannes. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.